I'd have to think about the fact that there are British citizens from many, many different origins around the world living here in Britain, third or fourth generation born here, and British Asians, British Afro-Caribbeans, British Africans.
What have you got, Junji?
Hey.
Transatlantic slavery, a timeline.
To explain that, I'd have to look at a little bit about the history of my country, which has helped make English the language that we're all learning today.
Could you imagine yourself as one of the traders?
As a slave or
Not as a slave, as one of the sailors. Yeah. How are we going to get them all on the ship then?
Well, I reckon we're going to squeeze a bit into the bulkhead, we're going to squeeze a little bit into the rudder, we're going to put some in the masts, we're going to put some in the steer house, going to put some in the cups, in the pantry.
I think they are crew, yeah. So I will stop them.
You'd stop them?
Yeah, of course.
What do you say to these toughs from London, these abolitionist toughs who reckon that this trade is an offence, blasphemous in its nature against creation as divined by the authentic Godhead?
Yeah, they don't know what they're talking about, you know, they don't know what they're talking about, these people, you know, they all come down here and say what job we're doing, don't they?
If you were a sailor and you tried to stop the treatment of the slaves, you would pay with your life, probably.
Of course.
Yeah, you would be...
But I think it's worse.
It's worse to be alive and to do that to people,
yes, of course,
than to die fighting against it.
Yes.
People of my generation, growing up in the 1980s, had to rethink a lot of our history. We had to look at the way our history had been presented to us as something we could be very proud of.
He didn't think that the slave is a human.
Yeah.
He think that the slave is just object or something like this.
Yeah.
Just commodities or what at that time. Commodities or nickel,
Yeah.
Congo, something like this.
Yeah. Cargo.
Yeah.
Today we have slavery again, but in another growth shape. It's not very different with before. Just the shape is changed.
It's hard to eradicate this
Very,
bias.
yeah.
Very, very hard.
Yeah.
Because black, white and yellow, someone told me, oh, you are yellow people. I
Yeah.
don't like it.
Of
I don't
course,
know why.
but none of
What
us are.
Yellow people, why?
Yeah.
I'm a human being.
We had to learn the stories of the people from the Commonwealth, which used to be the Empire, who came here and told us, well, the British Empire was not a great and good thing to our ancestors. It was an exploiter or a colonialist power.
So what he's doing here, he's taking some of the modern descendants of the people who were shipped from Africa to the Caribbean as slaves and creating living statues of them against the backdrop of the wealth and privilege, the symbols of wealth and privilege that the slave trade is hidden behind.
As well as saying, we don't notice these places and we walk past them and say, what a beautiful building.
Yeah.
We don't realise that it's built on the bones of dead people, dead slaves.
That's the residents of Bristol to know the history of Bristol. And in fact, the industry of slavery did contribute to Bristol.
It depends whether you get angry by it or not.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the voices...
Well, that's what you can see here, is if you pick out some of the statements written here by people who are obviously descendants of slaves, then you can see that the feeling, the anger, is still very strong. And personally, I'd like to see a lot more of this. I'd like to see a whole wall full of the reactions of people from all sectors of Bristol social life.
It all gets very, very difficult if you try to talk about your country and you deal with issues of international relations where there will always be some politics, some judgment, and the question of how much you, growing up in your country, have to understand its history from a different point of view to be part of the international community.
I've seen other places like this, like Auschwitz. And for me, it seems to be very very much cataloguing what happened, but you can't actually be there. You can't actually feel what those people actually felt. But what we have to realise is that this was as great a horror as what happened in Auschwitz and what's happened these days in various concentration camps and recently in Serbia.